welcome to another episode of Justin the Food Entrepreneur Show. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host. That's Bizzarro. For anyone who's out there, you can find us on Instagram at Justin Bizzarro. That's Bizzarro. For anyone who's out there that's trying to find us. Again, Justin the Food Entrepreneur is on Instagram and Justin Bizzarro for those out there. You can also find us on Gorilla Brave and on gorillabrave.love. I know I keep telling everyone on the episodes that we're updating it. If you've seen a black version or you saw a pink and blue version of the website, those are the old versions. So if you're listening to this and want to look at the update, it's now a white version, now black and gray. We changed it. I heard all of your feedback, everyone's response to pink and blue. I thought everyone wanted more color. So I adjusted, but I heard all the feedback and I heard everything everyone said. So we kind of adjusted to a lighter version of the other one, not a full light version. So I'm trying to listen to everyone. Normally I don't adjust that quickly for everyone, or I do weigh through feedback as an entrepreneur quite heavily, what is better and what's not, and what's going to cost and what's not. In this case, it was an easy fix. So with that being said, I have Robert Vasvary with us from Tennessee. Bob, how are you doing today, Robert? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you the mic, Robert. I know we have a limited time today. We're going to get you on a part two just so the audience knows, because Robert's story is thick, we'll put it that way, and deep. And I want to dive into all the very exciting details. He's also an author. He's written 3 books. So he's not only an entrepreneur, but we have an author that's dedicated enough to get past the first book experience and on to the second and third. So the punishment that we put ourselves through when we write books is quite something. I'm on number 2 and I haven't published 1 yet. And it is a very complicated, hard, self-critical process for sure. The mic's yours, Robert. Introduce yourself. Tell us about you, and from little Bob to big Robert, I guess.
Yes, thanks for having me, Justin. And I guess I'll try to sum it all up, but I'd like to add on to what you said in your introduction. I did write 3 books about the pepper people of Rancho del Fuego for my hot sauce company. Prior to that, I'd written a novel. There's still got a lot of copies sitting in my closet here, but a long time ago, out of the hills, the Appalachian Mountains, just a simple country boy, ended up graduating college from University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Of course, I had to flunk out my first year, become a waiter, join the Navy, 2 med cruises, now I'm a Navy veteran, and I went back and graduated in electrical engineering at the age of 32. That brought me all the way to here. I was a contractor most of my life. Took a job in in Chile at the age of 40 as a contractor, and I met this beautiful woman and married her 2 months later. She's from Ecuador. We've been married 18 years and no previous marriage, no previous kids, and both of us have an amazing son, and he's 15 years old. I live here in Boca Raton. Of course, I came here, Boca Raton, via a job, and now industry's downsized. AT&T's laid people off, and I decided to start growing peppers in my backyard while I was still here and working with AT&T in my backyard, growing peppers, making salsas. So 4 years later, I had started doing part-time markets at the farmers markets, and I had 9 hot sauces, and each sauce had a character. So I'm not just a hot sauce company, 15 gourmet flavors. But I couldn't stop with 9 because I wanted to write stories about them. Every sauce is a character. Every recipe is defined by these spicy pepper people from all around the world, starting with Happy Habanero. Well, once I had the 9 characters, then I had to bring my family to the ranch, my Rancho del Fuego, which, like I said, my dream is to have a ranch with my wife in Ecuador, way up in the Andes. No, not much different from the Appalachians, except for culturally. So now I've got 15 pepper people, 15 gourmet flavors, and my signature line of products called the Hillbilly Quattro. And Justin, I call myself, now this is no joke, I trademarked my name.
It's like the gospel.
Oh, yeah. You heard of Jed Clampett?
Yeah, the Clampetts. I love the Clampetts.
Well, I've trademarked my name,
I grew up on
Tennessee
a
Bob.
farm. I had no TV other than what was public television, even in the satellite era or cable era. There's no cable or satellite dish growing up until 1994, which I was 14 years old. So yes, I know the Clampets well. They were
You know,
on my TV a lot. Yes,
yeah, black
them.
and white.
Yeah,
So I call myself the
the
Boca Hill.
Jeffersons too. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, I call myself the Boca Hillbilly. I'm Tennessee Bob. I'm the East Coast version, and I'm marketing my signature line of products, the Hillbilly Quattro, which I call it your new grill friend. Everything you need from grilling. My signature line of products has Hillbilly hot sauce, a wing sauce, Tennessee orange wing sauce, where I took my hot sauce and I added orange juice, honey, sazon, key lime, and liquid margarine. It's almost like a nacho cheese sauce. But the thing that I'm really hoping is going to be a national item here is my super gourmet key lime barbecue. The man, my mentor from the very beginning, 6 years ago, he made this recipe for me. He's the same guy, Van Harrington, who made the recipe for Fat Boy Barbecue back in the late 90s. Fat Boy Barbecue is still out of Nebraska and still in business. He won in first place in a worldwide barbecue competition. So my key lime barbecue has 18 gourmet ingredients. On the label, it says made with Nellie and Joe's. The first key lime pie was made from this 50-year-old key lime juice company out of Key West. So I'm very blessed, Justin. Well, let's put it this way. Life's not fair. Okay. You got to deal with what you got. I
Yeah,
left,
that is true. I'm
I
feeling
left,
that one right now, actually, in life. But go ahead. I
oh,
love this is good timing.
yeah, I left my engineering career a little too early. I'm going on 2 years doing this full time, and it's a hard entrepreneurial roller
Yeah,
coaster.
yeah,
And I'm going to make a little pun here. It's not fair. Jed Clampett, he's highly uneducated, and he got rich, and he's got a cement pond out there in Beverly Hills. And I'm here in Boca. I call Delray Beach the Rodeo Drive of the East Coast, and I am a starving artist and highly educated. But you got to make the best of life. Sharing is caring, and so caring is the
yeah,
motto for the company.
yeah.
And the pepper people of Rancho del Fuego in my books, you can see it all on my website, all of my products, all of my books. They describe how humans should be. And especially in today's world, the world needs my pepper people more than ever. There's so much stress and so much anger and so much this dissension, separation between people. We need to play well in the sandbox and we need to protect our planet. We need to really come together for the sake of humanity. So I wrote these books describing all these spicy people from all around the world for children of future generations to embrace our differences and protect our planet. For example, Attack of the Hungry Iguanas, they were run out of the Amazon. They're eating our kale and our cilantro. And Happy Habanero got mad, so we had to go confront the iguanas in this Pixar Disney like setting, animated cartoon, which by the way, I have lost my mind, Justin. Am I want a movie deal.
You and I have lost our minds together. I'm trying to get a TV show off the ground the last 2.5 years. That's been very difficult, but go ahead.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to
exactly.
do it. I mean,
Exactly.
Lay's potato chips started somewhere too, and
I know.
let's don't talk about Ray Kroc and Kellogg's. Sorry, McDonald's. Anyways,
Well, and while everyone thinks you're defeated and not getting anywhere, we're just beginning. This is just part of the chase.
dare to dream.
Yeah, there
Dare
you
to
go.
And
Go.
dreams do when you wish upon a star. See, I'm pulling that Disney pitch. And Justin, this is gonna really blow your mind. I'm a pepper, he's a pepper, she's a pepper. Would you like to be a pepper too? I'm just waiting for Dr. Pepper to come on and threaten to sue me. And then we can negotiate so they can help me get the movie deal and buy me, and I'll just sit back with my royalties and write the episodes. So yes. I'm working my butt off at farmers markets. I'm doing gun shows here indoors because it's so hot in Florida in the summers and year round. And I'm packing a different heat, hot sauce. So yeah, I'm having fun with it. My wife and son, we're we're all we got. We have no employees. We're just going to the markets and we're trying to build a business from nothing, from a solid organic foundation with no financing, starving artists, and it's just a matter of time before I build this thing to where I can get some traction and get on the major shelves, the Publix, the Krogers, all of these stores, and it's a beast dealing with these guys. I mean, we're a dime a dozen hot sauce people, much less other products. And don't get me started on e-commerce. I have app apnea, Justin. You ever heard of this disease? I made it up. This is
The
the
app
writer's.
apnea.
A lot, I got a lot of, yeah. Every time I get a little number on one of those squares on my phone, I
Yeah.
stop breathing. I have, I'm just inundated with its own here and the modern, because what we have in common, Justin, this is another cliche, and I've got them all day long. What we have in common is we're born BC, before COVID, computer, cables, cell phones, CDs, but not Christ. So at the markets, I'm out there slinging the sauce, talking about the pepper people, and just running my mouth full speed and trying to make people smile. That's free. If you can make people smile, that's the best thing you can do in shining God's light. And the best thing you can do for humanity. It's frustrating though, there's some very angry people out there, and you just got to bite your lip and move on.
This is, I'm going to say this both biblically and business wise, just so everyone's aware. One of the things that, like, when Jesus knew that he was going to go down, like, there's at some point, he's like, I know I'm going down. Like, they're going to string me up, put me on the cross, going to die here.
Yep, they're
And
dragging him through the fields. Yep.
yeah, and the apostles and everyone's like, what are you doing? We need to go into hiding. The apostles themselves all go into hiding, and all but one denies Jesus at this time. Just so everyone's aware, you're talking about apostles that have been loyal to this dude from forever. And all but Timothy. Timothy is not sure. He's doubting Christ, but he doesn't deny him like the other apostles do. Well, and one doesn't only deny him, he defies him. Okay.
He didn't turn his back on him,
Yeah.
right?
And it's why in English, in translation, something that is important in the Bible is the D's are such important words in the act of the devil. Okay. It just happens in English that the translation of the words align weirdly similar to D's. Deception, deceit, death, defiance, all these things. So that's what there's a point there. But what I'm also saying is that Jesus has to go out in the world and build relationships. He can't work otherwise. And no matter whether or not he has apostles to help him do it, he still has to go do it because of their weakness. That's
Right.
hard for everyone to understand. And what am I saying? Am I saying we're all Jesus? No. Are we supposed to emulate Jesus and be more like him every day? Yes. So what am I saying? We have to go out as entrepreneurs and still be the face of our business and deliver the energy. Okay. That's important. That energy piece that is delivered, whether you want to say it's the Holy Spirit or it's human connection, we feel the same thing with humans as we do with our dog. And I'm going to say this for everyone again, and I know you've heard me say, is that's the communication, that's the voice of God, is the energy. He doesn't come to us and be like, Justin, wash the dishes. That's not how it works. Okay, it's an energy, it's a movement inside of us, and when you turn the light up on that energy, the energy will lead you more. But it is that energy that shares the experience, and it is so untangible. It's even hard for me to believe as a business person in the volumes of dollars and food I dealt with. But at the end of the day, what made or break my company was the relationships. And
Right.
the individuals, even the individuals at the end that disagreed with what I was doing, that were executives that I thought were still loyal. But what happened is they had the relationships with some of the customers better than I did, some of the big time hospital contracts, and they influenced those relationships in ways because they were disgruntled over ways the company was growing that they didn't like. Okay.
And they followed him and turned their back on you.
Exactly, because the relationship was there. That's what, it doesn't matter how good our business is, guys. At the end of the day, if you've been in business a long time and you have a salesman that has a stronger relationship with your clients than you do, which you want, but the problem is the opposite side of energy. Energy works for you. Energy also works against you. And if you feel the wrong energy in your company, you need to exit that person. I'm sorry, I don't care how much money they're making you, how good you think they are, how much their family needs the money. They will hurt everyone else's family in your business badly. Badly.
So would this be synonymous to what you're saying?
Yeah.
You're only you're a product of the company you keep. And no man can live this life alone. There's strength in numbers. We need to embrace each other, play well in the sandbox, get over it when we're mad, and keep the positivity. That's all we got is positive energy. Let the bad stuff flow out the door and move on. It's hard to do this human experience we're having.
Yeah. And if a person, this is all I'm going to say, sometimes this happens. I have individuals that have reached out to me that have made mistakes in companies as entrepreneurs and as the second, third, or fourth person in an entrepreneurial company where they've done things, where they've left a company and started their own company and taken their clients with them. The thing about it is that's a common business practice, especially legally and lawyers and all that. There's a separation that goes on. I will tell you this, oddly, there is a residual negativity that comes along with it. It's the only way to do business. I get it. You have to establish yourself and then move out of your company and then take clients with you. But there is a weird residue that goes with it. I don't know why, guys, but I time and time again, I see it in companies. And a lot of the time, there's a guilt that's subconsciously in there for doing it. But
Right.
anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know how else to do it when you're starting a business if you're in a client-facing thing to take your clients with you. But I will tell you, in my experience, that you're trying to create a company, it's few and far between that actually create a successful company separating themselves out like that in the long run.
Justin, from just talking to you this morning, you have a world of knowledge in an industry, and especially entrepreneurialism. I've been an engineer all my life, and now at the age I'm turning 60 next month, and I'm 2 years into a hot sauce company, and I want a movie deal. It almost sounds like a joke, but I love doing it. But the world, the information, or the experience you've had, man, I feel like an infant. I'm learning some really hard ropes here, entrepreneurialism, and you got to choose your battles and protect your assets, but still play well in the sandbox. It's a tough thing, entrepreneurialism. Not many people can do it.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things about food and beverage compared to all the other industries I've been in are in now is while there's competition, there is a fellowship that generally happens in food. I would not say it in the barbecue world. For some reason, barbecue and food, it is there are competitions, but it is one of the most competitive worlds, and everyone with their secret sauces and secret recipes and secret way of doing things. Like, let's call that the exception. Although they do help each other a lot and they are all good friends. Their competition though is a little bit different from as open and honest as everyone is, but the secrecy is a little bit different. So
there's a little pride and ego in
yeah.
holding your own price sauce, and I think probably due to the competitive nature of this industry, everybody's got to really rise up. Which, on that note, I have to mention at the Ribs and Brews Festival, for the first time, I have this small rib company this next Friday in Boca Raton, they've been in business for four months with their little food truck. I put my barbecue sauce on their ribs and I almost ate the bone accidentally. And then I tried their honey mustard Carolina barbecue sauce, and it was so good. This is the first chance I get to sport my barbecue sauce on their ribs in this competition next week. Wish me luck. I'm just starting out here, and I hope my business won't fail. I may have to go back to engineering to fund this and keep it going, but man, I love it. I love it. So much competition. What a career choice. I took hot sauce and barbecue. Boy, it's fierce. Uh, that's about
yeah, and sauce is a competitive world as well. It's a little bit everyone's secret, and everyone's fighting for shelf space in a supermarket. Wow, I was going to talk about this in a different episode, but I'm going to quick mention it now.
sure.
Listen, everyone. We're talking a little bit about the Bible. Let's talk about David and Goliath, because any entrepreneur that's going into the sauce world that we're talking about is David versus Goliath. Okay, you're competing for shelf space against someone that's larger than you. Okay.
Wow, I never thought of it like that.
And so here's the problem, guys. They can outproduce you. They can outsell you. They can outprice you. They can outproduce you because they can do it in the tens of thousands of gallons, and you're probably doing in 50 to 35 gallons. Maybe you're lucky 100, 200-gallon kettles, co-packer, maybe 300, 400 graduated. You still can't compete with 10,000.
No
Okay.
way.
And you're competing on price when their margins are better than yours and they have a relationship with the grocery store. Let me tie this to David and Goliath. All of you are walking into the David and Goliath battle with someone that's stronger, bigger, just as armed as you, and you're fighting them with the same sword, with the armor, with an infantry background when you know he's bigger, stronger, and a champion. And the minute you get close to him on the shelf with them, they're going to crush you. What am I saying? David, while everyone thinks he just had a slingshot and he was a shepherd, while he was a shepherd, everyone had to serve in the army in Israel. There wasn't enough people not to serve in the military as a male. Still today that exists for 2 years. Okay? So David historically had been trained as what we would call ballistics these days. It's not an arrow, but it's the equivalent of whipping a stone as fast as you can. Okay? So was he a shepherd boy? Yes, of course, but all shepherds were also trained as infantry or some sort of military position, depending on him. He was the lowest of the lowest of the lowest tribes in Israel and the lowest of the lowest of the lowest families in there. So he had the lowest of the lowest job, which was, hey, you don't even get to fight anyone. You get to throw stones in a leather thing. No armor, no nothing. Okay, think about this, guys. What am I saying? What did David know? What did God give him in that moment? God said, you know what? It's not about fighting him on the field. What are the rules of the game that you're playing? That's what you have to think about. They weren't fighting war. They didn't have to follow the conventional rules of war. They just had to follow the conventional rules of combat. But there was no rule that it had to be hand to hand.
So he used rocks and he slingshots.
Before he even got near Goliath, Goliath was down. Why? He was nimble. He was different. He didn't go and compete with Goliath in Goliath's game. So what does that mean for hot sauces or seasonings? Because those two things are competing in a way that's not whatever. We could talk fried chicken and burgers, how many people get into it, but that industry has a lot of room to grow. The problem with sauces and seasonings is there's limited shelf space to sell it.
Exactly.
And there's not a store that pops up everywhere like fast food, okay? Sauce key. The key to the sauce and the seasoning world is not the retail shelf at first for any sauce or season maker. What, Justin? I got these great packages. They belong on a shelf. I have warehouses full of stuff I got to sell. What are you talking about? How much money are you spending on marketing? Stop spending it. Why? Because the marketing is giving away the stuff you already have. Social media is free. Okay, what am I saying? What am I saying is that you need to be someone that collaborates, gets other chefs to use their sauce in their collaborations or on their menus and their seasonings. And then you build a brand that everyone wants to try because it's on what everything else is. Then the brand starts to set itself aside. Then it can go compete with a Goliath. Okay?
Exactly.
But let me tell you the weirdest thing. At any point in time, David kills Goliath. The Israelites still could have been wiped out. The fact that the law was honored in that moment and that Goliath's troops didn't still clobber David and all the Israelites is still a miracle. Why in that moment did it stop that thing be significant? If it would have been hand-to-hand combat and Goliath died, it probably wouldn't look the same. It has to be an uncommon person, an uncommon brand, an underdog, and a person that is fighting for something different, something greater than just the market space, than just the shelf space, than just the profit.
Wow. I feel like I'm having entrepreneurial counseling and therapy. Just invoice me. That you find me.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling through this. And, I will say this, Justin, I have leg up on a $6 billion industry. I like to brag and say this because I have sauces with characters and they're lovable. They have personalities and stories to go with them. And that's all I've got. I've got some proven products that people like, but so much competition. But my motto is sharing is caring and so is pairing. and I won't elaborate on that anymore. But you got to play well in the sandbox, and I'm proud to get my sauce on some ribs. I'm in a chicken restaurant with my Scotch bonnet Jamaican sauce, and that's like you said with the food industry, the fast foods. That's a good way to get your brand out there. So I'm trying everything I can, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I really
if I were if it were me, let's put it that way, and I were you, and I never tell anyone this because I'm giving away a secret. I'm going to give you a long runway here before the 3 months before this episode will come out. So I'm going
okay.
to give you runway before anyone else knows. But you need to knock on doors, restaurant to restaurant. You
I
need to build the restaurant, anything that you can. I think that's your game, Robert. And by what you're doing, your story, the books, all of that is a perfect alignment for collaboration.
Yes, and then so I built this solid foundation, and you're exactly right. These farmers markets, direct to consumer, is one thing that's paying my bills barely, but I need to go to every restaurant and just like Ray Kroc did with his milkshake blenders, just start knocking on doors. And man, that's where the entrepreneurialism and salesmanship that really tests a person because I'm a 20-year career in electrical engineering, learning sales. Thank God I have a personality and found out late in life that I'm better at sales and engineering, but I've got to get out there. And thank you for the advice. I'm on it. I got,
Well, and if we look at Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A was a chicken sandwich and he sold it and licensed it to Waffle House. Chick-fil-A was a
wow.
sandwich in Waffle House for many years before Chick-fil-A and Waffle House had a disagreement, and he's like, screw you, I'm going to open my own store in a mall in the 80s, 81, I think it was. And then he opened his own Chick-fil-A store
How about that?
because of the contract. Otherwise, we just know Chick-fil-A as a sandwich at Waffle House.
I'm a big fan of the scatter, smother, cover, dice, chop, chunk. I'll stop right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And Chick-fil-A as well.
Let's talk about hot sauce. We've got a lot of education here, but I want to dive into why hot sauce. What's the passion there? Something you've always done. How do you create so many recipes? There's something that is your superpower. Anyone that can create multiple products, multiple recipes, add a thing. I keep saying this. I've been saying this for 6 years till I'm blue in the face. The trend, you want to win over the competition. They win because they have lots of variety and they can produce lots of it. Okay. We can't produce lots of it as small entrepreneurs, but what we can do is beat them creatively. Okay, they have lots of stuff on the shelf. They conquer a lot of areas, barbecue, chicken wings, hot wing, garlic, Parmesan, whatever. There's a lot of categories here. Okay,
Right.
you need to build a chessboard. If you're going, it is not a David versus Goliath, a single versus single. If you're going in with a single product, you are going to get annihilated.
I know.
Why?
Uh,
Not by the competition, by the customers. Why? If you can't give a customer a choice, you've lost them. A customer needs to be empowered to choose. But anyway, it's your thing. I think this is your superpower. Let's talk about the sauces.
Wow, thank you. I would like to consider that a superpower. Well, like I said, I started off, I was an electrical engineer doing 4G, 5G, AT&T wireless telecom. And so I would get off of my computer working from home and go out in my yard and just become a Rambo. And I started planting seeds, growing habaneros and Carolina Reapers. And I started making sauce. Well, my neighbor across the street, her husband was the vice president of the HOA, a brilliant local muralist named Chris Luca. So I made salsas in my back, just for fun. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to make a habanero hot sauce. And then I gave her a paragraph and a picture of a habanero. And when you go to my website, they're so lovable, happy habanero. And every character is defined around, every recipe is defined around these characters. He's from Baja, California. His name's Javier. And I'll just go into the story part of this real quick. This poor guy wanted to go to Hollywood. So he auditioned for Bay. He came from Tijuana, Mexico. Now, this is when he was human, before he, you know, was reincarnated as Pepper Person. So he goes to California, goes to Hollywood, auditions for Baywatch. His eyes were a little too red because he was a surfer and a stoner. Shot down. Meets a girl from the Valley girl. They moved to Colorado, and I won't get into the tragedy of how he passed on, but they had a kid. The father, she was pregnant, so they ran off to California before he before the dad shot him. And so Happy Jr. was born. So Happy Jr. is a green sauce. He's a fruity guy with apple cider vinegar, pineapple, kiwi, and key lime. Now, from there, I had 9 flavors. Well, then I made my wife a pepper person. The story, she's Ladyfinger. She's a Cayennetta. Every recipe defines their culture and character. She's from Ecuador, so I put some sazon in it. Cayenne ricotta peppers, lots of cilantro. And the way she became a pepper person, I have not killed my family. They're not reincarnated. That's a joke. She, in the storybooks, one day she just was in the kitchen preparing the almuerzo, which is in Spanish, that's a big lunch. And she sliced her finger, and a drop of blood hit the floor, and poof, a puff of smoke. She was a pepper person. My son woke up one morning, and he crawled out of bed and fell out of bed because he was a 6 foot tall teenager, and now he's a 2 foot tall dragon's breath pepper. He comes running into the kitchen. Mama's already a pepper person, and he's all happy, and she's freaked out. And so I get chills when I talk about this because I really want to write the episodes about them. Now, back to the sauces. I have from mild to wild, and I knew, that you can't just have one. Variety is a spice of life. So I have the 3-packs, the 4-packs, and whatever mud sticks up against the wall, I have to run with it business wise, whatever's selling. So I found with all 15 gourmet flavors of hot sauce, everybody loves variety. My target market is from 8 to 80 because a lot of these older couples, they love my Chipotle and the Hannah Banana, which is my sister, Hannah. She's banana, cinnamon, and nutmeg. She really likes the holidays. So I made something because she's obsessed with Christmas. And so they like the mild. And of course, hot sauce. People will walk up to my booth and they'll be like, give me the hottest you got. So even if it's not hot enough, I have these little vials of pure Carolina Reaper, calling it fire dust. Oh, my sauces are hot. Do you like the flavor? Oh, yes, I love it, but I need more heat. Put some on it. So I'm trying real hard to diversify myself. But
that's the other thing I would say in the sauce category is all the influencers, particularly hot sauce. It is trending like crazy. People eating hot things on YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, not as much, but the hot sauce thing like really trends on those 2 platforms pretty big. I mean, the hotter, the better. It's interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, recently I guess I must be making some traction out there in the social media world because in the past week, I've had 3 people, influencers, say, give me some sauce so I can market it. Well, I'm a small guy and I don't want to just be giving it away, pay the shipping and all that, but I'm going to do it. I got to put myself out there. And it's that, I've got to share with the world. And if it can expose me to their 3,000 or 300,000 followers, I'm doing it. I'm sharing and I'm caring. So this is quite an adventure I'm on. And yesterday I really just wanted to run away screaming, look for a job. But the show must go on, Justin. I've really my product and I'm passionate about it more than anything in my life. And yes, that's my superpower. Now, Kryptonite almost killed Superman. I got to be careful. I'm a little old trying to start a business in a super competitive industry. But living in Boca Raton with all my storybooks, maybe I will get a leg up with some investor. But I have to start building my business. And if you don't mind me saying, this is where I stand right now. My first year I've been doing this 6 years. Okay, 4 years part-time. Left my engineering career 2 years ago. The first year I sold $90,000 gross in hot sauce sales. Last year, $125,000. This year I'm trying to get to the major shelves and double that. That is small beans when you have a wife and a family and a household. But I'm showing growth. I mean, I'm working my butt off and it's gotta happen.
You're doing well. I will tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and that's good numbers for your first years, especially in hot sauce, especially in farmers markets, especially because, and part of it is, I believe, is your variety. I believe because you offer more sauces, you give more options, you will sell more. I know it's a lot more upfront costs. I hear it from everyone. Justin, you don't understand the cost. No, I understand. I've been on both having someone co-pack for me and being the co-packer for others. I've sat on both sides of the equation. I understand. So, and I
So you,
also understand that your first run is marketing and advertising dollars you're going to run off. There, like, we just have to understand for every batch, and yes, there's a lot of them, but you have to look at it as I'm going to lose all of it. And if you sell some of it or half of it or 3/4 of it, great. But the mindset there is this is a sunk cost. Originally in the product game, in the co-packing game, in the CPG game, your first run is you always have to just consider. And the smarter person, if you have a good accountant, which most people don't, sorry, accountants, most accountants are not set up to be food accountants. They don't understand it. They lose you tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars over your lifetime by not looking at your inventory, by not advising you how to order, by not advising you how to write off things properly in food. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of accounts that know the game. It's a very large book, but there's a lot of things in food that you can do. Okay. I just want to emphasize that with everyone. The other part is that look at it as that. Why? Because then when you build your budgets to build your business, that sunk cost is already in there, and your cost you're thinking to actually build your first batch to sell is your second one. Why is this also important? There are mess ups the first round. If you mess up flavor and whatever, and you have to have them reproduce, but you guaranteed already that whole pallet versus sales, you just delayed everyone their first order and made a bad impression. I know everyone's like, oh, it's the fear of missing out and this is good and blah, blah, blah. It's not good. Not.
no, you do that with Costco and you're out, and you
Yep,
go
you're out.
bankrupt.
Walmart, you get dinged, you get penalized if you're late. And it's not a little bit amount of money.
No,
Okay.
no, they don't. They don't have much patience because they got a lot of product.
And there's a line of 20,000 people behind you waiting to get your spot at these stores. That's when I'm talking about them. Go ahead.
Can we talk about co-packing?
Yes, let's talk about it.
Because you've been on all sides of the fence. I can learn so much from you. I've already learned so much this morning.
Yeah.
But my top 6 flavors in the past 6 years, and I've got them made by a co-packer, and it's called iPack out of Winter Springs, Florida. I don't know if you ever heard of Tijuana Flats. They do all the sauces for them.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud to say that at least I have a logical mind, and I've built a business. So I've got a co-packer making my top products. Now, every time we do the first run, I have to go up there and taste it and make sure. Of course, at 2 days later, it's going to settle in the bottle and the profile changes, the acidity, blah, blah, blah. But the first key lime barbecue, it smelled like charcoal. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not right. I can't sell this. And I lost $5,000, my first investment. That's a huge for a small guy. And guess what? 2 days later, the flavors came together, and it is the best barbecue on the planet. In my mind, and everybody, when they try it, their eyes light up. Who puts key lime juice in Memphis-style barbecue with the red wine vinegar, 18 ingredients? Now, my product is a little too expensive because it's so gourmet. That's where I have a problem. I walked into Sprouts and Fresh Market yesterday. There's nothing that's selling over $12. They sell it for $20, a 16-ounce jar at the farmer's market all day long. So on that note, can we talk about, I want to validate something with you because you know this industry, the 4X rule of retail.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
So if it costs you $1, you get $1, the distributor gets $1, and the retailer gets $1. That's the way it goes with Amazon and the big players. you get 10 cents and they get the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Go on.
I'm learning stuff, and it's scary. So I'm working with boutiques and restaurants locally, and I need to grow that. And I will say this, I want to give a shout out to Tahiti Joe. The guy's been doing it for 25 years part-time. He just retired from Costco. He's been an award-winning hot sauce guy, Hawaiian, obviously, Tahiti Joe. And something tells me the reason I'm going to be a success, if it doesn't kill me, is that this guy wants to mentor me. He has a lot of respect for me. It's just starting out. I quit my day job way too early. He had never quit his day job. But he's established now. He's retired. He's got a very successful business with lots of products, and he wins awards with his hot sauces in Texas and the huge festivals. So I've got a lot of people on my side, Justin, and it's an honor and a privilege to just be talking with you. I feel like I've earned this opportunity to talk with you. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. I want to emphasize something for you really quickly, just because I would feel that I would be doing injustice from God. And I'm not speaking truth if I don't, with a capital T, if I don't say this. The difference between you and him is his background lent to the building of his brand. So his day job lent to the building of his brand. That's not true for you.
No, I'm jumped into the water, ice cold.
Yeah, but your background and an engineer will not complement your brand. It may introduce you to people, but the reason that God had you jump ship is because you needed to be all in, because it's different for you. Does that make
Wow.
sense?
And at least I'm smart enough to use, like you said, my superpower. I love to write, and I
Yeah.
have a creative, more of an idiot savant. No, I'm more of an idiot than a savant. I tell my wife jokingly, but the pepper people, I'm so in love with them. Now, you don't want to get too personal with your products because they say that's not good for business. But I started this thing out to make sure that I had something that would actually stand above the rest of the hot sauces. Hot sauces with personalities, lovable characters. And hey, we'll make you a pepper person too, Justin. You're Italian, right?
Yeah, I am Italian.
Well, I've got a G sauce, a pizza hot sauce, but
I
we can
love
use
it. The Paisano sauce.
we'll make you a pepperoncini.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I love pepperoncinis. I want to have you back on the show, Robert. I know you need to get off, and I really appreciate your time coming on the show. Is there anything you want to quick say to the audience before you have to get off?
Oh yeah, of course. Like my other mentor says, when you wake up in the morning, sell, close, deliver. That's what your goal is. So check out TennesseeBob.com and coupon code SPICY1. It's easy to remember because I said you are a spicy one. We'll make you a pepper person. Spicy and the number one will get you 15% off on all orders. My website never expires for orders over $25. Get the 4-pack, the 8-pack. Try my Hillbilly Quattro, the best of Southern cuisine in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. Your new grill friend. I didn't say girlfriend.
Yeah.
So
I like that,
that's
girlfriend. I'm gonna close out here, Robert. If you need to drop, go ahead. I'll still close out. And but I just want Robert. I want you to have you back on the show. I didn't get to any of the other questions. I only got to 2 out of my 12 questions for you today. So I'd love to have you back on the show. For the audience, I'm gonna say this. You have to look at what your stone is, what your proverbial pebble is, okay? Why is that pebble important in any business? That pebble is the thing you sling when you have to fight, okay? Now, what did David do? Okay, I want to go back and I'm going to anchor this. What God does is he gives us wisdom and direction and guidance. It is not an external thing. It is something that happens internally, and it displays externally through a miracle. Does God perform a burning tree or a miracle here and there that's visually obvious? Yes, those are for extreme moments, extreme direction correcting. Does it happen in our lives? Yes, there are big things that happen in our lives that are supposed to pivot us towards God.
wow.
That's internal, though. There's something happening external that needs to reflect internally. This is too much. Everyone wants the outside signs. The signs are what we do inside. And then the miracle happens inside, and what looks like a miracle on the outside is something that happened a long time ago inside. That's the entrepreneur. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Robert.
we're talking about the internalizing. It's outside of looking for external signs. I feel this God's miracle through joy, hope, and unfortunately pain and fear. But I have to fight that away, and then the joy comes, and that's where the miracle comes. I mean, you make it through another day. Does
Absolutely.
that make sense?
It
Is that
does.
sort of
Yeah. And it's exactly on target to what we're talking about.
yes?
And part of that is that your proverbial stone that you need to throw is your writing. Okay.
Oh yeah. Wait for the
And
next one.
yeah. And so in this case, what we're talking about is Robert Stone is his ability to write. What he needs to put in his sling that he needs to throw forward is his ability to write. Is the vehicle that delivers the writing to the world the hot sauce? Yes. Is that his creative thing, his vehicle by which God is using him to get his voice out there to glorify God's kingdom? Yes.
Wow.
So everyone has this. Every business has their sling. Sometimes it's a product. Sometimes it's a dessert. Sometimes it's whatever, but it is the very thing you need a sling for your business. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you so much, because you know what? I've been telling myself I need to, outside of trying to figure out how to make the rent next month, I've been telling myself, sit your butt on the back porch and doing. I got a YouTube channel, News at 11. I'm still trying to build that, but I want to sit and do readings. And you can read it as an audiobook, or you can see my ugly mug with on the back porch. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to tag you if that'd be okay.
Yeah,
But I would
absolutely.
just do a chapter at a time and introduce each character.
Yep.
This is my passion.
Yep. You are the leader.
Thank you so much for your time, Justin. I'll look forward to talking with you again. And
just remember one thing: all
Yes, sir.
shepherds were once led, who now lead.
all shepherds once led. Say that again, please.
All shepherds were once led, that now lead.
So you gotta follow. You gotta do your due diligence and follow, and then learn and lead later.
Yeah, God prepared you for right now so you can lead in your business as an entrepreneur, because that's what we do.
Well,
we have more impact and influence than any other human on this planet as food and beverage entrepreneurs. We touch more people, have more impact financially, have more impact on taxes in our community than anyone else. Even the big guys come in and they build these big stores and like, oh, they're building lots of taxes. I've done the tax assessment, guys. I've done the valuations. I've been part of those government projects in the United States in particular. And at the end of the day, the entrepreneur and the way money trickles through local products, local purveying, local farming, local sourcing, local business still compacts in your community more than any big box. And I know that's hard for everyone to believe, and everyone's going to talk about the initial math, but I go way farther. I talk about the compounding fact of the dollar and how fast it moves in a community. And the faster it moves, the better the economy is.
Shop
Entrepreneurs
local,
do that. Yeah. So
support your community and their strength in numbers. Well, listen, I hate
took
to drop
too much time. Yeah, sorry about that,
No,
Robert.
text you a few things after we talk here. I just wanted to ask you a few questions after this meeting.
Yeah, and absolutely, please sign up for another show. I'll text you the calendar, because I'd love to have the audience talk about those 10 questions. I like to talk about the characters more. So maybe we do multiple episodes so the audience knows. I'd like to break down the characters all in one episode and then answer my questions in another episode. So I'd like to do 2 more with you. That's just my thing. There's a lot of education here. There's a lot of structure here. There's a lot about your story I want everyone to grasp onto, because while you have a desire to go on the shelf and be sold everywhere, I don't think that that's where your volume's going to be and where you're going to make your money. So
whatever it takes, man, whatever it takes. I'm going to start. You really inspired me with the way you tell the stories from the Bible. I've never heard it that way. You really made my day, and I'm going to go start writing again. Thank you for getting back into my true in self, So
just remember the wisdom we are provided with in the moments. We don't realize it. There are moments we get wisdom. That's God, guys. That's what he's giving us. That's what he gave David. God gave David wisdom. By all means, everyone else kept telling David it's a bad idea. Goliath is 5 times his size. He was probably suffering from a disease of gigantism, like Andre the Giant, like a huge human.
Right.
David's like probably 5'6", 5'7", insecure because of his height, I'm guessing. Ultimately, it's why he commits sin later on in the way he does, lust, needing the woman to desire him, committing adultery in all the ways that he did and all the women he did, because there was a inferiority complex in some ways. But it was his superpower to defeat Goliath, so God used it. But we also have to keep in mind, guys, that God uses us for both. God uses our patterns, the things we go through, the bad things, so we can inspire others to go through them too. So David, he beat Goliath, but he also was still human and had sin that we also learned from. And the important part of this is, even if we glorify ourselves, we have to be aware that glory can also lead to our fall, like David. So why do I anchor the stone? Remember the stone always. You always have to be in alignment with God. You always have to be preparing a new pebble. That pebble is going to change sometimes. And you always have to stay in alignment with what we're talking about, the beginning, what got you there. If you lose the beginning, it doesn't mean your business doesn't pivot. It doesn't mean that, oh, I started as a hot dog company, I'm now a burger company. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying about the core values, the things that mattered before you ever made money. What kept you going? Exactly.
That's right.
So,
and it's positivity, and it ebbs and flows, but you got to keep the positivity, and it'll propagate, manifest. Hey, listen, thank you so much, and I'm honored, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again on a couple more episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone and audience, for listening in. I love you guys, and we're out.